Hi, and welcome to Brief History Conspiracy. I'm talking to my old mate from Stranger Times this week, everything SkinWalker Ranch. And even though I'm actually on my holidays right now, so shh, don't tell the wife, I am editing the video because that's my dedication to this channel. And please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really does help us out.
So, SkinWalker Ranch.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about this game. I'm not doing that, mate.
Bless you.
Woo! I tell you what, mate, you're going to have to carry me on this one a little bit because I'll be honest with you straight away. I don't know much about it, and I don't believe it.
You're not? You not believe it?
Well, no, I don't think this area has got any more any more unusual than that whole part of the country. There's this the UFO alley goes right the way through the middle of there, and weird stuff goes on through like about 9 different states. I don't think Skinwalkers. I think it's just got a really creepy name, and that's about it.
Trying to convince you.
But I've always got an open mind. So I read a bit of the history of it. So it was owned by Kenneth and Edith Myers between 1934 and 1994. Actually, I've just realised that was 60 years. Fair play to
him. What years? You got
1934 to 1994. I've got.
It was about 1973, 74.
All right, and then I've got 1994 was when the Shermans went in.
Shermans had it from God.
I've got these dates from Wikipedia. Is Wikipedia fuck me over again? It does quite a lot.
It was from the 80s. It was either the late 70s or the early 80s for the Shermans. I'm sure of it.
All right, I got 94 to 96, so we're already controversy. And then I've got the Bigelow, who I love, came in, bought it off the Shermans for $200,000, according to Wikipedia, in 1996, and sold it in 2016 to this Brandon Fugel, who now has it.
Fugel, very strange fella.
Well, I tell you what, Robert Bigelow, say what you like about him, he's a shrewd businessman. He bought it off the Shermans for $200,000, who were desperate to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And sold it to Brandon Fugel for $4.5 million. So yeah, and the other thing I got is it's 512 acres in Utah. So there you go. Fugel has now trademarked Skinwalker Ranch, and I think he's building roller coasters and he's going to turn it into a theme park. Is what I suspect's going on.
Oh dear.
Well, Adamantium Holdings. He's got a sense of humor. And he's a geek. So so I like him. And obviously now we've got the TV show. So when this Fugel guy bought the ranch, he locked it down for like 3 years. There was loads of secrecy on who owned it. He had this Adamantium Holdings saying wouldn't tell anyone. And then the History Channel TV show started. And like I said, I'm pretty sure there will be a hotel very shortly. There will be log flumes with cryptids jumping out at you and stuff.
That's the sort of history into Skinwalker Ranch, and you've got all the stories and legends and stuff like that go with it. So I can't find much out about Edith and Kenneth.
No.
Shermans, that's it.
The Shermans seem to be what made this famous. The 2 years or a few years that they had it. Mainly because I think he got involved. Oh, I'm doing great with the names today.
I know, me too. I've got all my bloody notes in front of me as well. So it started off with them with the when they acquired the ranch, what they sort of came across was there were massive bolts on the windows and the doors, massive like dog chains and stuff like that out the front. The inside was boarded up as well, so you couldn't open the windows from the inside or the outside. There was deadbolt locks on virtually all the doors inside as well, and they had no idea.
So it's like a fortress, then, really.
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then weird paranormal things started happening, like poltergeist activity. They'd hear voices. You'd see shadows, things would go missing, and cattle would disappear. They would have cattle mutilations. Then they started seeing like objects and weird lights and stuff in the skies, virtually directly above the ranch. But there was also a massive, back in 1973, 74, there was a really big UFO sighting over the ranch or around the Uinta Basin where it is. And I think there's it could have been over 300 witnesses, people that saw this massive, huge disc UFO. Was like the size of the size of a couple of football pitches. It was absolutely massive. That's hard to research. There's not a lot of stuff on the net about that.
Well, if it was back from the 70s, it would have been limited, especially in the area we're talking about.
Yeah,
there would have been people who were really private about it back then as well. It wasn't popular.
No. And then you've got so before that you've got the native Indians, the tribes, the Ute tribes, who would see skinwalkers as they perceived them back in that time. And if you was to look a skinwalker in the eye, it would take you. You know what I mean? But,
all right. See, the interesting thing I was reading about was that the Ute tribe actually don't have much of the skinwalker thing in their religion. They don't really believe in the skinwalkers. It was more the Navajo tribe, which was local to them, that the skinwalkers are in their religion, and the Navajo tribe would occasionally invade the Ute tribe, and that's when you would get, and that's why I imagine this crossover happened. The thing is I like as well is I know that there's lots of crop circles and things, and then you see pictures of it. There's no crops. It's like, I don't know where the crops are, but they must be somewhere.
Yeah. So basically, every paranormal activity or every paranormal event, everything from Bigfoot to weird cryptids to UFOs to triangular TR3B shaped UFOs, to poltergeist activity, every type of paranormal activity has happened at the Skinwalker Ranch. So when Bigelow took it over, he put the NIDS team in, which was National Institute for Discovery of Science, or Sciences, and basically they were there 24/7, and they didn't capture anything.
They barely pointed. I know there was a lot of eyewitness things, wasn't there?
Basically, sort of quote unquote, it was so basically saying that whatever's happening is intelligent and is always one step ahead of what we think is going to happen, if that makes sense, or not what's going to happen, but let's call it an entity or whatever for purpose sake. It always knew what you was going to do. So they're setting cameras up and stuff like that where everything normally happens, and then it would happen 20 feet further away, just down the beach. And then they'd put the cameras back on that spot, and then it would be over there. And they're like, we can't get it. But I read an article and watched an article from
Colm Kelleher. He's one of the names I had. He's the guy that shot at the yellow-eyed thing that was in the tree. Saw some big creature that was in a tree. They were trying to film it. It somehow managed to stay off the camera. They fired at it with a rifle because they're scientists. So that's what immediately they did. The thing jumped out of the tree and ran off. They found the tracks, and it was like a giant bird of prey track. Like a big oval with claw marks.
Yeah. Like from seeing like slits or portals open up in the sky, not too high, like 20-30 feet off, and then these weird cryptid things jumping out and just sodding off.
Well, that was one of the things the Sherman said, wasn't it? That they saw a giant dog-like creature, but it was huge.
Yeah.
dire wolf or something like that along those lines. Yeah. They said it was like some sort of big wolf or something, a big red eyes or whatever, and scared the hell out of them. They shot at it with a pistol first, and then with a rifle.
Yeah.
He is certain they hit it, and it just walked off like it wasn't bothered.
Yeah. But they were close enough to be able to touch it as well at one point. Which again, I mean, everything that's sort of gone on there has to be something going on there. Do you know what I mean? It's not all hearsay. Otherwise, why would Bigelow, for instance, and I think there's about 8 different American government organisations working with Bigelow at the time when he had the ranch. Everything from Department of Intelligence Agency, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you've got ATIP as well. CIA was involved. Loads of other ones as well, which are all now. Some of them are disbanded, but a lot of them are working with Tom DeLonge and Robert Bigelow still.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that Bigelow funds the Academy for the Stars, don't they? And then it was one of the big contributors. A lot of the guys from NIDS now sit on the board or advisors for the Academy to the Stars. I am absolutely certain Bigelow has very strong links to the government. Bigelow Aerospace has actually put stuff in space more than once. He was the guy that developed that inflatable pod for the International Space Station, which always seemed like a terrible idea to me, but cheap. So I am absolutely certain we'll be using them when we go back to the moon very shortly. Yeah. But also, he basically somehow managed to get the contract to that if a civilian airline sees a UFO or something, they report it to Bigelow Aerospace.
Yeah.
How the hell did he wangle that?
I know it's
privatized UFOs, man.
Yeah.
So the Bigelow is instant character. The only thing that he owned it for 20 years as well. I mean, we've got to remember. So he spent time, and he spent a lot of effort. It would have been expensive. Yeah, it would have been a lot of money. Seriously looked into this.
Yeah. There's also strange thing with digging on the ground as well, or on the land.
Did you say digging?
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So I've not found much about this, but it started off with the Shermans. I think that they started like digging up the land or something for I don't know, crops or an outhouse or whatever. And a lot of weird stuff sort of started kicking off, like paranormal stuff or entities and UFOs and stuff like that. And also, because I've watched one episode of the TV show for SkinWalker, because I refused to watch it just because it will, be faked or whatever. I just won't watch it. And because they wanted to dig, they found some with metal detectors or like LADAR or LADAR, whatever it's called, ground penetrating radar stuff, and they wanted to have a dig, and like the head security dude was like, no, not allowed to dig because of the law. That's what he said. I think is what he said.
Yeah.
And they had to get permission from Brendan Fugel to dig, and he was like, only if you really think it's worth it, because you know what happens when you start digging. But again, there's not much info, but that goes all the way back to the Shermans as well. So
I did see in one of the TV series now that's going, they were exploring sort of some outhouses, and there was a like a water tank or something.
Yeah.
And they opened the water tank, and it was
so
it was toxic as hell, and then it's in there all the radiation detectors.
It's filled with something. All right, well, look, if you want to look down in there, it's just filled with crappy water. I mean, muddy water or whatever. Maybe it's a septic tank.
Seriously polluted.
Well, it looks pretty bad. There we go. It stinks, though. Whew.
So there's something in there.
You know, I don't know if I want to say it or not, but I feel like, I don't know, I've got a little bit of a headache or something happening. So why don't we get out of here? Maybe the smell, maybe some mildew or mold or something here. So let's get back out to the road where there's more airflow. I started getting this headache and this nausea feeling. I wasn't sure what it was, but I realized, you know, I've got this dosimeter in my pocket. All right, well, maybe we should check our dose meters or whatever.
Yeah.
Holy, mine's beeping.
Your max dose rate is about 120?
Yes, 120 something.
That's pretty high. That's pretty high.
What happened at Homestead 2 really shook me up. And then, the next day, I noticed weird red marks on my hand and my head. I went to my doctor to get checked out, and he confirmed they were radiation burns.
Extra dose of radiation. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
because in that episode they found a massive disc-shaped, I can't say it, anomaly. You got me doing it now. Anomaly. That's it. That's my weird speech thing coming out.
You're northern. It's all right.
So, yeah, and again, I was like, oh, like it's the first one I've watched. I'm not gonna just fucking dig it up, man. You know what I mean? Just fucking hell, you know.
Crack
just,
on. Get on.
Yeah,
Might be a UFO. You might actually genuinely prove existence of UFOs on telly. Crack on and dig it up.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, when Fugle got it, he put all the massive security, like massive armed security as well.
He locked it down for several years, for a couple of years, didn't he?
Yeah.
Completely locked it down. You couldn't get near it.
No. So I reckon at the time, Bigelow would have still been working with him. Definitely.
That is the rumor, isn't it? That there's still connections there.
So what did Fugle find, and what is going on? I mean, like who was it? Robbie Williams went as well, didn't he?
Did he?
To SkinWalker Ranch, because Robbie Williams is well into all this sort of stuff. He's had a couple of experiences, and he went to SkinWalker Ranch with Jeremy Corbell and George Norrie, I think it was.
Yeah.
George Norrie.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're not listening to George Norrie and Art Bell on YouTube.
I've listened to Coast to Coast and that. Yeah, they're on there all the time, aren't they? Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, it was George Knapp that really made this famous, wasn't it? Really, when he was going through with that. Can you give me 1 minute?
Yeah.
I need a wee.
No worries, mate.
So give me a sec. But I'm in the attic is the problem. I will edit this out.
I won't. No, I'm joking. So yeah, it was 18 months after the Sherman family moved in that they started getting all this weird paranormal activity stuff happening. So everybody, or not everybody, has heard that one of the most startling things that happened with poltergeist activity inside Sherman Ranch was we just got back from shopping. The nearest town's like miles away, so get back from shopping. There's about 8 bags of shopping. The wife puts it onto the table, onto the counter. She goes into another room or whatever, comes back literally 30 seconds, no longer than that. And sorry, I got that wrong. So she puts all the shopping away, and then she goes into the other room. Then she's literally gone 30 seconds, and she comes back into the kitchen, and all the shopping is back out on the table and the counter with all the cupboard doors open, and
You just carried on talking while I was gone.
Yeah.
Who were you talking to?
The
I have
viewers.
no idea what you said.
Talking to these guys. No, that's
We're
right.
not live, you dipstick. You
Yeah,
could
no,
have edited it out.
that's fine. For the
I'll have to leave it in now.
no, don't know. Yeah, 18 months after moving into the Skinwalker Ranch with the Shermans, that's when it all started getting really bad and sort of kicking off.
Yeah, from what I've read at the time, it was they were terrified. I mean, because I watched the George Knapp talking about this on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan doesn't really follow this. He doesn't think there's much to it, but obviously Knapp does, and I mean, he's passionate about it, particularly when he was talking about working with the Shermans, saying about how they were terrified. They weren't lying. They were terrified. And he did a lot of research at the time, and he never found anything that could, anything other than corroborating evidence for what they were talking about, particularly when it comes to like the cattle mutilations. But I mean, cattle mutilations are almost normal in this area. I mean, there's an old joke that said you can't throw a stone in Utah without hitting somebody that's had a cattle mutilation or an abduction.
There is evidence. A cattle mutilation that happened. I can't remember if bloody hell, who was there. I think maybe part of the NIDS team was there.
Yeah.
And the Shermans had they'd walked past one of the corrals, with some cows and stuff in, and then they walked past another one where there was a little baby calf, and they literally walked like 50 feet away from there and did something, turned back round, and the calf had been mutilated. It was bloodless.
That quickly, seconds then.
Seconds, yeah.
So I mean, you talk about cattle mutilations. I mean, in this series now, Linda Moulton Howe is involved. I saw the one video that they'd seen, and you actually see some sort of UFO, some sort of object moving across a tree line, and then there's
What's
a cow.
her name again?
Linda Moulton Howe.
Oh yeah.
She's one of the main cattle mutilation people.
Yeah.
But as the object goes over, you see the cow sort of go, "Ooh," and then go back down and lie back down. Yes. And they said it actually reacts to the object, and it's just like the cow's going, "Oh shit!" So I think as this thing flies over. But it is really clean video, but I worry that it's not genuine. I worry that this Fugle guy's gone in and is going to make sure they have an interesting TV show. But I hope I'm wrong. But Linda Moulton Howe is a fascinating character, and some of the work she's done is really interesting. She's talked about when they find cattle mutilation, the difference between a fake or a natural event and a real event. Because there is a thing, actually, when cows die in very hot conditions, the animal swells, and then if there's any sort of little injuries or anything like that in the skin will tear. But it tears really cleanly. It does tear like perfectly straight lines, and it does look weird. And then obviously the cow shrinks back down again. Insects get involved. But I mean, she's done a lot of work in separating those from the things that are weird. Instances where the animal is seen one morning and it's mutilated the next morning. That can't happen that quickly.
No, and also if the cow, because I've not worked with leather, but I know a little bit about it. It would be saggy, not saggy, but it would be a little bit baggy as well. There'd be signs of it being stretched.
Being stretched
you know
out,
I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it gets desiccated, so it all dries out by the time they get to it, sort of thing. So, but this is when they know days or weeks have gone by. There are instances where they know the animal's fine one day, and in that sort of condition the next day.
Yeah.
You know, there's instances where these, holes about an inch. They always seem to be about an inch, and like surgical holes, and they go virtually through the animal.
Yeah.
Like there's some sort of surgical thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
I mean, aliens love beef. I joked with them. Have you ever seen the Cowspiracy thing on Netflix?
No.
It's talking about. It's fascinating. It's talking about actually if greenhouse gases and stuff, right? If we got rid of all the cars tomorrow,
Yeah.
We could reverse the greenhouse gases in about 50 years, and we could reverse global warming in about 50 years. If we got rid of the cows tomorrow, we could reverse it in about 30 years, because of the amount of methane they release. I always wonder if the UFOs and aliens are coming here really interested in cows because they're wondering why we're destroying the planet for beef. They must be looking at it going, why? What is with this animal that they're willing to kill themselves over? Because cows are killing us. They're destroying our planet.
Yeah.
We're burning down.
There's got to be some reason, isn't there?
Yeah. The amount of rainforest we've burned down so Americans can have a hamburger. It's disgusting.